Hello Mark, so please tell me a bit about yourself.
Right, I'm a freelance, self-employed drummer, working with many different acts at the minute, kind of ranging from studio to live. I do lots of teaching as well, and generally anything I can to make my living from playing drums and music. You know, a little bit of production. Yeah, that's kind of about it really.
What cymbals are you playing at the moment?
Right. A couple of years back I was introduced to this lovely range of cymbals by a company called Impression. They're Turkish made cymbals, and on the setup today I've got pretty much my standard setup that I use for studio work. So I've got a pair of 14-inch smooth hi-hats. I've got an 18-inch thin, well I don't think it's thin, it just says 18-inch underneath, but as you can see it is a really thin cymbal. That's a jazz series. I have a 22-inch smooth ride. I have a 20-inch dry jazz with a little chain on there to give it a bit of a sizzle. And this one is a 17-inch jazz as well. That's also a crash. I don't think in the jazz range that they actually list cymbals with thins, mediums. It's just an 18-inch or a 17-inch. I've got a few other ones in my bag as well, including that's an 18-inch traditional China, and I've got a 16-inch traditional crash as well. My live setup does change a little bit. The cymbals do get a little thicker, particularly for the crashes. I use normally a 17-inch medium thin and an 18-inch rock on this side, and then my ride will either change between the dry jazz or a dark series, which is like that but quite a bit heavier, so you get a little bit more of a louder stick definition, so it cuts across on stages, bigger stages, a lot better. And the hi-hats I normally change to traditionals from smooths. And that's kind of, I think, about it for my cymbals.
So what do you like about the Impression cymbals?
They're quite dark, which is what I like in a cymbal. I mean, particularly with crashes, I like them to be a statement but not too intrusive. So when you hit the cymbal, it's there, it's gone, but it sort of floats mellow in the music as well. Particularly with like the rides. I mean, that's why I've gone for these. Well, all three of the rides I'm using at the minute have got unlathed sections. This is completely unlathed, except for a little tiny bit around the edge just to smooth that off. This is the same top and bottom. To show you what this one looks like underneath as well. You can see that that's completely as per top, which is sort of a semi-lathed. And my dark series that I use is like, you know, as I said before, the dry jazz. It's completely unlathed. So they are quite dry, they are quite smooth, and they do tend to be more of an earthier cymbal sound. They're not too harsh, which I find works great in the studio.
What's the kit you got there?
Right, this is a Premier Elite. The sizes are 12/8, 14/14, 20/14. It's a Gen X shell, which is a birch maple hybrid. The finish is dark walnut. It's got low profile die cast hoops, and generally, I mean, for me, drums do tend to change tuning and dampening quite a bit. I mean, I'm not one of these people who goes, oh, you've got to completely tune it live, or you've got to put tape on it, or whatever. It's what the song sort of demands, really. At the minute, this kit's set up with just ambassadors on, top and bottom, both coated ambassadors, and it's an open tuning. On my other studio kit, I think that at the minute that's got Impras on, and that has some tape on it as well. And my rehearsal kit has got vintage A's on with some tape, so it does vary for me. I mean, I change heads up all the time, and I change with tape. I mean, I've got Moonjo on the snare here. The snare, this is a new one for me, so I've been playing around with it for quite a few weeks now. This is one of the new Premier series, which this has got a modern classic badge on, but they're making them under the name of the One series now, which you can see on Premier's website. They're made in the UK, and they are complete one-off models. So this was done to my specification, which is a 6-inch shell by 14. It's a cherry shell, which is a cherry all the way through. It's applied shell, and it's got die-cast hoops, and the I've forgotten the actual model number of this strainer, but it's the one that featured quite heavily on the Signia range that Premier had out a few years back. It's got modern classic style tube lugs and these little handy things which you can sort of wind down to stop the drum detuning when you're absolutely pounding it. But yeah, I found this drum works at a variety of different levels. I've got it tuned quite high today, but I found that I use it also quite low tuned with a dampening ring on, which sounds great for general sort of pop rock stuff. The wires are just generic snare wires from Premier, and it's got this like a ribbon sort of band that goes through rather than cords or the funny little plastic straps. So yeah, that's the snare. 2 pieces of moon gel, ambassadors top and bottom, like ambassador snare side and cone ambassador top. And yeah, I mean that's about it for the drums I've got here.
And your pedal? What's your kick pedal?
The kick pedal is it's a DW5000 I'm using today. I tend to use DW pedals across the board just because I just find that I get on with the rolling chain. I've got a 9000 which I also use quite a lot. But yeah, I've got a 5000 here, and I change up beaters on that as well. So I go from the standard DW beater to like a bald felt beater, which I normally use in jazz settings, so I can sort of tune the drum a little bit higher and just get a softer sound on the drum.
Okay, cheers Mark, let's hear some drumming.